If you were to ask travelers this one question, what is the number one pain point when it comes to traveling? What do you think the answer would be?
Ooh, if you guessed airline travel, you are correct. But then again, it's actually in the show title.
They probably didn't have to guess. I know, I get it.
So more on that on today's show. And this is our top tips for your next airline trip.
Hello and welcome, fellow adventurers. You're listening to the Travel Inspired podcast, or better yet, please watch it on the Travel Inspired YouTube channel. Unless you're driving, do not do that. It's way more fun. You can see us waving and smiling. We are your travel agent hosts and best-selling authors, Rob and Kerri Stuart, coming to you from the CMV studio in beautiful Windermere, Florida. This is episode number 168.
And a very important topic this week, and that is top 5 reasons why airlines are failing travelers. And this is your survival guide and our top recommendations to help you reduce the stress.
Now, to be clear, that was not my first choice for a title.
It was not.
My first was actually, Why Do Airlines Suck? But that title really doesn't tell the whole story.
No, I don't think it does.
No.
Now, we don't mean that all airlines suck. We travel on a lot of them. But, maybe kind of, yeah. They're not very consistent.
Yeah. But first, a huge congratulations to my cousin Arianna Fontana, the top female Olympic athlete in Italy's history. She's amazing.
I know. And so in this past Olympics, she added her 12th, 13th, and 14th Olympic medals at the Winter Olympics over in Milan, which is her home country of Italy.
Yes.
And I think it is so amazing that this was her 6th Olympics in a row. And of course, this will be her final.
Well, the cool thing, people have done 6 Olympics, but
not in a row and won a medal in each of them.
That's where I was going.
Where you were going?
6 in a row with a medal in each of the games. So, and again, I think it's very fitting that this one is in Italy because that's also where she started her Olympic career in Turin, Italy, back in 2006 when she was just 15.
I know. And I love watching the Olympics every couple years when they come out, whether it's the summer or the winter, because it always gives us some really good training moments for our travel agents. And I think athletes are so inspiring.
Imagine qualifying for the Olympics. Maybe it's your first Olympics, regardless of the sport. And you've been training for 10, 15 or more years just to get to this point. And let's say you're a skier and you lose by 100th of a second, just a tiny bit faster, and you'd be on the podium.
Yeah. And that's not just a good training component for travel or business. That's a good training component for life. So thanks for sharing that.
Yes. Now let's talk about what prompted this week's topic. Over the next 6 months, actually starting next week, we have 3 different trips to Europe, and all of them have to do with river cruises. But keep in mind, these are all for business.
Yeah. And for those 3 trips, we have 15 individual flight segments. Now, luckily, we already have 14 of the 15 booked. Don't ask. But the last one is we're flying back to Miami and we have to get up to Orlando. So that's going to be an easy one. We just haven't closed that loop.
Yep. But the amount of time that I spent researching different flights leaving from different cities other than Orlando, it was hours and hours of searching. And the main reason is we're trying to get not just the best flight times, we're also trying to spend the least amount of our credit card points or miles.
Yeah. And the main reason that you spent so much time doing all that research is because of a couple things when it comes to flying, specifically to Europe.
That is correct. And this is just something for us. Maybe you feel the same way. For starters, whenever it's humanly possible for the long haul portion of the trip, meaning across the pond, we're going to be in business class, not even premium economy.
And what we find rather ironic is that when we moved from St. Petersburg, where we would fly out of Tampa, we thought,
best airport ever.
I know, right? And best Facebook. They're so funny over there. But we thought moving to Orlando would have more nonstop flights to Europe. But that is not the case at all.
Only one of the 3 trips that we have for this year going to Europe is a direct nonstop flight from Orlando to get to Europe. The other 2 trips we have to fly out of, I think it's either JFK, Newark, or Dulles. It's usually one of those 3 to even get to the point where we can fly across the pond.
Now, the other point that we want to make about flying to Europe is not just business class on the long haul portion. It's also using credit card miles and points whenever you can.
And that's something we really started doing a deep dive with not even less than a year ago. That leads us to probably one of our number 1 tips. No, there's only one number 1. This is it. Not just for flying, but basically any type of travel when it comes to using credit card points. Make sure you know what your credit score is. That probably sounds a lot simpler than it is, but it is very, very important.
Yeah, and the vast majority of credit reports do have errors. Trust us, we are very much aware of that.
Well, that's one of the main reasons that we rented a house for 2 years when we first moved up here to Orlando back in 2022. We needed to work on my credit score. Now, if you haven't checked your credit maybe in the last year or two, or maybe you just don't check your credit at all, you would be blown away by how much the credit bureaus literally don't care. I'm talking about the credit reporting agencies, the main three. They just don't care.
Yeah, and there are so many errors. And so without going into too much more detail about the credit cards in particular, you do have to have good credit to get the best travel credit cards. That's just a matter of fact. And we'll probably do an entire show on that.
We will. Airline math. And
Yeah.
again, that's something we're relatively new to. I've had a Capital One card for years, and I keep getting their miles, and we use them also. But the big change came last summer, and that's when I got one of the premier travel credit cards, and that is the American Express Business Platinum.
Yeah, and I think we have maxed that one in terms of getting points.
We got the points. Now
wherever
we're going
can.
now we're working on the Chase card.
Well, I had one back in the day.
I remember
and
that.
I have one now. But one thing I really love is the access to the airport lounges. And especially, I remember I was flying through Dallas, and they had, at the time, it was their brand new Centurion Lounge. And that was such a great experience. And I mean, we even look at airports now. We're like, what kind of lounge do they have? It's just nice to get out of the hustle and bustle.
We are so bougie.
Yeah, that's not being bougie. It's just being a comfortable traveler.
So again, on a future show, we're going to talk about what credit cards to get and what credit you need to have to begin with, and a specific order in which to get these cards.
Plus our go-to website to search specifically for flights using points.
Okay, back to our travels. And another quick tip, and this is for traveling internationally for us. It's usually going to be Europe. But with our point strategy, we do not book round trip flights.
Yeah, I mean, some people think, oh, it's just twice the one-way price, but a lot of times it's not. This has changed over the years.
It has. And the biggest reason is we're not flying into and then out of the same airport, because on a river cruise, you fly into one city, you fly out somewhere completely
Usually.
different. So our strategy is one flight at a time, which means we actually use a spreadsheet to keep everything in order.
Yeah, so starting this month in March, we're headed to Amsterdam.
Yes.
And we're going to a river cruise conference. And then during the conference, we're going to be staying on one of the cruise ships. Obviously, that's just how this conference works.
Some people stay at a hotel there. I'm like, stay on one of the
Because
ships.
they didn't register early enough to get on one of the ships.
Okay, point taken. And on this trip, we're flying direct to Europe from Orlando. And so we are going to end up in Amsterdam, but we are connecting at London Heathrow, where I think we're going to get some fish and chips at the lodge, at the lounge they have there.
Yeah, so with the conference, and then we're doing a post-conference 3-day cruise, and that's a total of 7 nights in Amsterdam. Then we're going to fly to Marseille for a 4-night stay in Marseille, followed by a 7-night cruise on Uniworld, cruising the Southern Rhone River.
Which we filmed for Alma Waterways 12 years ago, almost to the date. It was April of 2014. And so we get to now retrace the steps we did from Arles to Lyon, and we are so much looking forward to this trip. It is a top producer trip for a partner that we work with. But then to get back home, we are flying Charles de Gaulle, Paris, to Newark to Orlando. So again, 5 different flights on this one trip. Technically 6 because we have to connect in Heathrow, but that's still just one ticket.
I call it, well, yeah, that's still one ticket.
Okay, we could have called it 6.
This is like high-level math, travel math. It's crazy.
Well, and the inspiration for this week's topic really came down to probably the 60 to 90 plus days checking and rechecking airline routes, how much it was going to cost in points, locking in those flights, what city are we going to fly to, and then how do we get over to Europe?
Yeah, it says we typically do not book airfare for our clients for a number of reasons, but there's one main reason, and that is liability without control.
Exactly. So when we book airfare, or if we booked airfare for clients, we become responsible for monitoring the schedule changes, handling cancellations and rebookings, dealing with customer service nightmares, being the middleman between the airline and our client.
Yeah, and here's the thing. We have zero control. And this is my little pro tip. If you are thinking of booking with a third party, such as one of those booking sites or Priceline, Costco, don't do it, because if you need to change anything with that ticket, they own it, and then they have to do everything for you. So if you have a last minute adjustment, We do not recommend it. The only time I recommend booking it with a particular package is if it is with an all-inclusive and you're saving a ton of money, or with a cruise line. But that's it. Yeah. Usually we say we'll do research and tell you what to book. You book direct. Because here's the thing. The airlines make all the decisions. They can change schedules. They can cancel. They're the ones that need to deal with customer service. And their refund timelines can be pretty nasty. I've heard about this with people whose trips got canceled from the Northeast issues.
So now let's break down some of the top reasons that airline travel has become really, really hard.
Yeah, and any of these components can change your entire trip. First up is constantly changing fares make planning impossible. I hate when the airlines do this. That same flight can vary by hundreds of dollars within minutes sometimes. And basically, they're punishing travelers who plan ahead. And sometimes they're rewarding those who will gamble with last minute bookings. I see this all the time.
And the cost of these flights can not only change within hours, it can happen within minutes. Specifically in this instance, when I was using points, I was transferring some of my Amex points over to Flying Blue, which is Air France. And for this particular business class flight, it was 120,000 points for the both of us.
It's a good deal.
I transferred the points showed up. I hit the checkout button, and the points had gone to 184,000 points, which is crazy. That was a 64,000 point change in less than 2 minutes.
Yeah, and I remember you called Air France and Flying Blue, and they were like, "Oh, so sorry, prices fluctuate." And I remember you hearing, "Yeah, but not within 60 seconds." Listen, the airlines, they don't care.
Exactly. Routes appear and disappear without warning. Airlines announce exciting new destinations, get the travelers all invested, and then cancel with little notice, leaving vacation plans in the dumpster.
It's true. And here's the thing. Flight cancellations have become the norm.
Yeah.
What used to be rare is now expected. Airlines are prioritizing operational efficiencies over their passengers.
And they have absolutely no accountability. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's
just how it is.
That's our business model. So our business partner, Jen, she travels way more than us, and she's always on a plane. It's always Delta. And I was chatting with her about 2 months ago. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you're almost at the airport." She said, "No, we turned around. They canceled our flight. I can't fly out till tomorrow."
Yeah, and you really have no recourse with the airlines.
Yeah.
But this is also why it is always good, and this is something we always recommend, is to have travel insurance.
100%.
Yeah, we actually have an annual plan, so it's not based on per trip, but we get those protections for delays and cancellations.
Also, schedule changes can just literally destroy whatever itinerary you had, especially if it's a cruise. If you're trying to fly into a cruise the same day and your flight gets canceled that day and you can't fly in tomorrow, the cruise ship isn't going to wait for you. The time can change. Maybe it's hours or different days, and it forces travelers to rebook hotels, the cruise embarkation, and miss connection. I mean, you build your entire trip around this thing. In our #1 Amazon best-selling book, Just Add Water, Your Guide to the Ultimate Cruise Vacation. Okay, I know, shameless plug, but it's still true.
It is. This is our #1 tip in that book, and that is if you are flying to a cruise, and I don't care if it is domestic, maybe you're flying from Chicago to Orlando to go on that cruise, never fly in the same day. And here's a big one. There's no accountability with the airlines when things go wrong. Airlines have really insulated themselves from any type of consequences, making it very impossible for you, the traveler, to get any meaningful compensation or resolution. It's so frustrating.
So make sure you join us on our next episode, number 169. We're going to give you our top credit card hacks when it comes to using them specifically for flights.
Yeah, and our top tip, though, when you should use those miles and when you should pay cash. That's a good one.
And this is a subject we did talk about almost exactly a year ago in March. And wow, have we learned so much since then that has saved us tons of money. And like I mentioned earlier, for our long haul flights, which means crossing the ocean, we're flying business class all the time. If we're flying from Orlando to California, we're going to do it in business class. If we're flying from here to, Newark or JFK, we're okay with premium economy.
Yeah. Now, we'd like to know, though, what are your tips for flying? Head on over to our Instagram and let us know. And of course, if we can help you plan your next adventure anywhere in the world, please reach out to us at creatingmagicvacations.com and click on that Plan a Vacation button.
And remember this, get out and experience the world and never stop exploring.